Happy Get Your Knee Off My Neck Friday. It is your girl Tina Marie, and I am coming to you from the virtual studio along with my amazing and wonderful co host, Mr. Taj Gillespie, community activist, aka King of Generation Wealth. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm doing amazing. I just want to make sure that you can hear me because earlier I was having some technical difficulties.
Oh yeah, I hear you well. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you just fine. I want to see if I can adjust my AirPods to make sure we don't have any echoing. So how you doing today? Go ahead and talk to the good people. Tell them who you are, what you do, where you from.
I'm doing well, man. My name is Taj Gillespie, man. I'm a community activist, entrepreneur, um, from Grand Rapids, Michigan, man. We and a team of the Exclusive Media Exchange extension. You know what I mean? We utilize the extension cord. You know, today is another monumental day that we make in history. You know what I mean? 2020 has been a tough year on all angles from every perspective. And I was talking to you earlier, and I was explaining to you the perspective of the concept of asking to tell someone to get their foot off my neck. I kind of felt the way that we sent out a team to capture it, but we got a lot of work to do internally to even expect someone to get their foot off our neck, get their knee off our neck. Like we got to correct our error in order to see what they see. So therefore, we can maneuver differently, man. Because this is not the way. This is not the way, man. I don't really think this is the way to make change. You know what I mean? Alhamdulillah for the people, but man, we got a lot of work to do on the ground root level, with our feet on the ground within our own localities, let alone outside of that. We got a lot of we got a lot of groundwork to do.
We have a lot of groundwork to do. In fact, this morning when I woke up, can you hear me just fine, Mr. Gillespie?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I don't know what's going on with my AirPods. I just want to make sure there's no echo as we continue on this live feed. But I woke up this morning and I was watching CNN, in preparation for what we're doing today with Exclusive Media Exchange. And there was the coach from the Atlanta Hawks, Mr. Lloyd Pierce. He said it best, and I can hear echo. I'm sorry. And he said it best. He said, "I was born black, I will die black. But I don't want to die because I'm black." And that was so powerful. It was a mouthful. And so you're absolutely right. We have a lot of work to do within our own community. So I am so grateful, King, that you are there in the city and you are, putting in that work and teaching our generations what it means to, um, what was that term that you used? Empower ourselves, overcome.
I mean, we have to, cause we got to change our conditions, man. You know what I mean? And it's a, it's a self, it's a self thing first. You know what I mean? The Creator has always just told us: save yourself, save your family, save your community. So if we're not saving ourselves first, us reaching out to get everybody to give us value that we don't value ourselves first of all, then we are expecting something that that we're never going to get. So, in the totality of our efforts, with 2020 being so monumental with the pandemic, coronavirus, the coronavirus attacking our community, with the job loss at an all-time high within our community, if we don't find a time where we correct our error by getting ourselves together economically, so we can not be dependent upon the opponent to get their foot off our neck or their knee off our neck, man, we're going to continue to perpetuate a cycle that's been a losing cycle. So the reason why we active and with our feet on the ground is because we understand the steps of those that came out before us. So instead of trying to start with, we still started at. The March on Washington was years ago. And we still ask, and that was a dream that a brother had. Right now, we're talking about get your foot off my neck, get your knee off my neck, still asking for them to do some things that they should already know what to do. Especially we talking about officers that are paid by our city and tax dollars. And therefore, we can't even hold them accountable for their actions. And we're paying their salaries. And we're losing young men and young women based upon the training that my tax dollars pay for. That don't make sense to me. So since it doesn't make sense, we have to change our conditions economically without the dependency. Because we got to build a foundation and we got to start where we are and not doubt that we can do it. I seen Black Wall Street established. I know that it can be done. I'm not never going to say that we can't do it. Economics is key. The trust in your creator, that's key. Your charity giving back, that's key. The more that you give, the more you shall. So these are ethics that we're basing these moves off of. So get your, I want to say it correctly. Get your knee off my neck rally that they're performing is a step towards us understanding that this is our responsibility. You don't let nobody put their foot on your neck, their knee on your neck, man, without a consequence to it, some form. And without being united as a race of people, as a culture, as a group of humanity, talking about human beings. If we don't unite on a human level, we could never, ever, ever, because you don't see us human. You can depict us, take our lives, and be validated by the murder or the homicide that you commit. And you walk, your family is cool, no one's suffering, no, you ain't got to deal with the crying of the mothers, that the lives that you took. There's no remorse because it's justified. I mean, I could go on, Tina. I'm dealing with racial unrest because I'm a Black man in America.
Absolutely.
So I got Black sons. So I can't fear the opponent. I gotta prepare the men. We can't live in fear because we never win.
Sorry, that's my fault. I'm sorry. Hold on, just one second. I'm still trying to no, I definitely appreciate your perspective and I appreciate you sharing that with us. So I wanna keep you going. Keep going. Let's talk about that a bit. You know, you said you coming from a Black man in America with Black sons. So your perspective needs to be shared, needs to be heard by our viewers, because I'm sure there's many out there like you that can relate to what you're saying. I do want to ask you a question, you know, as we continue to watch the things unfold in terms of what's happening in America with our culture and the unrest. Now the NBA is shutting down. Please share your perspective. Do you think it's going to make a difference?
I mean, I definitely do, man. And I applaud every NBA player, every NHL player, every tennis player, anybody who's understanding their value, their influence, their words, their heart. But this is a heart matter. If your heart isn't being touched by the things that are occurring, then it's something that you have to deal with to cleanse your heart. But I take my hat off. I salute the NBA players, man, for the unity. You feel me? Like, it's deeper than playing sports, man. What's happening right now, like, that's their careers. I'm not knocking their careers, but they have an understanding that the fight that we up against is bigger than the career, man. Because they're still a part of the system that's been oppressing us. Because they're just entertaining the wealthy, those that can afford the tickets to the game. They're entertainers. So by them understanding the influence of their entertainment, they came together in solidarity and made a decision that, man, enough is enough. We don't gotta, y'all money that y'all come spin on us. We could be doing these and dealing with these issues of racial inequalities, unequity, without no equity. There's no it's not equitable out here in this dunya, in this world that we live in. The equity factor of economics isn't on the same scale. So you look at us differently. You don't value us the same, but you value our culture. You value our money because we're the number one consumer in the world, African.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me just fine, right? Okay,
Yeah, I
great.
can hear you.
Okay, so we're going to see if we can go over to watercolors with Miss Renee Johnson. I know that our team in DC right now is getting positioned. So I don't know where you left off at, my brother. You was going in on that thing. I know the last I heard was something about our tax dollars.
Or I was talking about at the moment, I mean, at the time when we were speaking upon the police and the police brutality, and
Sure.
how our tax dollars are what pays their bills and their salaries, allowing them to feed their families, allowing them to go home to their families. And the results of those things, knowing that they work at a city level. And when you understand city government perspective, they
Yes.
work for the community. So working for the community, this is meaning this is what the community wants from these police officers. So it goes back to the say who put these police officers in office. Like I think police officers need to be able to, like, they got to be elected to office like any other city officials, because they have to have some type of value in the community they want to serve. And if you don't value the people of the community, can't value it. You coming in like a officer, meaning like you, as they taught us, which the police do, is they don't serve and protect, they police, and they micromanage, and they racially profile people of color. These are things that they do naturally. This is things that they're taught naturally. Watch the way they walk, watch the way they move. I've been racially profiled since I was a youth. So I understand the opponent and how they tactically are taught how to apprehend black men and around men. So we got to be mindful of that, of who the opponent is and who our companions are. Like this is not so. This is about identifying the purpose and the reason and the underlying opponent to act like we're doing it. Their job is to serve and protect to see the outcome. We're marching to tell the opponent, which we call the police, which been committing police brutality within our communities, but
Yes.
their jobs are to serve and protect the community. So if we're not considered a part of the community, then their job isn't to serve and protect us. So if they don't view you and me as citizens, they become what? An opponent. So this is where the racial unrest comes to play. It's not about them, it's about us identifying what roles are being played and what role we play.
Yeah,
So we
absolutely.
have to first identify with ourselves, not looking at what they're doing to us, but looking at who puts them in a position to do this, and then at the same time, what are we doing about this if we don't like this?
That's now that you say that, that's where we were before we had the technical difficulty. I was asking your perspective on if you felt as though the NBA players standing down and postponing games was going to help, um, considering a humongous part of the percentage of athletes in the NBA are African American. So, how do you feel about that? Do you think that's going to make a difference?
Oh, definitely. I think that's very impactful. I salute all of the NBA players that made effort to stand and to boycott the league based upon understanding who runs the league. See, this is bigger than just them boycotting. They know who they're boycotting.
Yes.
So with the racial unrest, if no one sees the importance of these laws that we've been inhabiting, because it's a reason why they're not arresting officers. There's a reason why they're not, because this is their structure. They can't arrest their own if they put them in position to commit these acts. So the
Mm.
things that we're asking for, it's kind of us not really knowing law and what the police criteria is. What are they able to do? What are they not supposed to do? With us not knowing these things, then we are subjected to these things.
Wow. Wow. That is such an interesting perspective. I hear you, my brother, and I know that there are many initiatives out there right now for what is happening to us during this time. Can you tell me locally what measures have been taken by the police to have some sort of reform there, so that you guys can at least see some change?
I mean, effort is being made. I don't know how important it is to the cities. Here in the city of Grand Rapids, we got a new city manager, so he been putting a lot of emphasis on these things, and hopefully that the outcome becomes better. It's a working process because it's a system that they've been designed to perpetuate. So it's hard to
Mm.
come in and change something and expect immediate change. You see what I'm saying? So it gets ugly before it gets beautiful.
Yeah,
So we in the ugly space because we got
we're
to
in the
figure
ugly
out
space.
accountability factors of the. We got to figure out the accountability factor of those that commit these acts that can commit behind a badge, but they will be charged differently without it. But it's the same common kind of criminal act.
Sure, sure. I know that you and I spoke prior to the broadcast, and you were sharing with me one of your latest creations. I don't know if you shared with our viewers that you actually design and customize uh, clothing items, and one of your latest creations is a WAP T-shirt.
Mhm.
I would like for you to please show that to our viewers, and then explain the concept of what that is.
Okay, so at the moment I sold out of the WAP shirts based upon the the march. So they really took them. They took off. I will have some later on. I'll put them on the site, but we currently sold out. It's been a hot item. The WAP, you know, we trying to change the narrative, man. You know, these artists are so they are perpetuating the cycle that we try and break. And for the WAP to stand for the acronym for what it's designed for, we're changing that narrative. So we changed the WAP into what about prosecuting the sergeant? Let me give you the sergeant Jonathan Mattingly, the officer Brent Hakinson, and Officer Miles Cosingos for the murder of Breonna Taylor. So our objective is to be able to turn one narrative into a positive narrative. So the WAP stand, what about prosecuting?
I
Let's get
love
to
it.
the officers. Let's get the officers that murdered this young lady, a Grand Rapids representative. She was born and raised in Grand Rapids, Michigan, man. We can't forget that. And her mother and her father was from here. So she has her footprint is here. So for us to not to be pushing the agenda for Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, and the numerous, including Jacob Blake, the new assault that we seen shot in the back, like enough is enough, man.
Enough is enough. We are so super tired. And, you know, even me as a Black woman, you know, I feel the pressure of get your knee off my neck. I am the wife of a Black man. I am the sister of Black men. I am the auntie of Black men. And so my little nephew, in fact, yesterday was doing a video with my mother talking about how this man, my nephew's 6 years old, and he does not understand why people who are called to protect and serve us shot a man in his back 7 times while in the car with his children. It is unbelievable to me. And so I know that you were sharing with our viewers earlier about you don't feel that the march in Washington is you somewhat kind of alluded to the fact that it could sort of kind of be a distraction. Did I take that out of context?
Political. Oh yeah, for sure. This is a political play. Like we in a season of elections. Everyone has a political agenda. Everyone is, man, the world has become so individualized that everyone has an individual agenda and nobody has a collective agenda. Meaning for us as a culture, a race of people, what we're facing, starting in the trenches. See, the pain is in the trenches, man. You know, when you start when you're able to get to those type of things, you got to be able to afford that. So those that can't afford that, we still here in the trenches living that life that y'all talking about. We up against it. So what I feel about the march is not that it's not needed for whoever needs it, but it's just a ploy. We got to understand it's political. These are done by political people. Political people are behind this. They looking to be able to get votes, voter registration. Like all of this is intent. We can't lose focus on what's really going on in the trenches, man. My people dying, man. My people ain't out. My people the one dying. My youngins is we burying young fellas for racial unrest within our own culture. Not even correct in our own era. So the position that we playing on the ground. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it is. It's definitely devastating to watch our people continue to die at the hands of the police officers. And I do know that this march, I guess they're referring to it as a commitment march, and this is in response to the death of Mr. George Floyd. You know, I really maybe I'm being naive and thinking that the death of Mr. Floyd was going to somehow stop the police brutality. But I mean, within a few days, there was yet another act of violence towards an African American man. And then now with the Jacob Blake, I mean, where does it end? Now, my understanding is that in the same city where Mr. Blake was shot, there is a Caucasian teenager who enters into a crowd of protesters with an assault rifle and kills two people. Kills two people. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I kind of briefly overheard Mr. Crump talking about it on CNN this morning as I was preparing for the broadcast. And apparently, to de escalate the situation, the police officers on the scene offered him a bottle of water.
I mean, what do you expect? See, when you don't understand the law, you don't understand where they put themselves at in law and place us in law. You see what I'm saying? So the civil unrest, this thing about the young boy that killed the people in the church, the mass shooting. Like, these are things, yeah, they might get prosecuted, but they're not going to be slaughtered. They don't got the kill on their target. Their target doesn't say kill. Their target says apprehend.
Mm,
Our target on us, it says kill. Don't
wow.
allow them to live. So they do an overkill with us. 7 shots, 40 shots, 50 shots. Unarmed person though. A person that can't harm you because I'm unarmed, but you get 50 in me from 4 or 5 different guns. This is intention. I mean, come on, man. We don't see this. We expect equality from an opponent like this. The police are up under the military. Who else do they send in when they send in the military to support the police? You don't see your opponent? You expecting your opponent to be your friend? You expecting them to come save you? You expecting Clark Kent? You expecting Superman? You expecting Spider-Man? You expecting Batman to come save the day? Man, we got a lot of work to do. And we got to be all right with the work. But it's collective work. It's a collective body, a group of individuals that got gifts. Are we still live?
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. All right, all right, all right, all right. We are back. We are back. And we got some live footage here.
Shouts out to my man Bob Doles, man. From live from DC. Getting real active. Them boys getting real active down there for us.
Can you hear me, Mr. Gillespie? Right, all right, all right, all right. We are back. We are back. And we got some live footage here. Can you hear me?
I hear you now.
Okay, good. Can you hear their video?
And
Okay, we're going to. Yeah, that video. Sorry. Okay, we're going to go boom. Hey, all righty. Now that was your team out there bringing us that live footage from the mall plaza. What is it called? The DC Plaza? Black Lives Matter. Is it the Black
yeah,
Lives Matter? No, Lincoln Memorial. That's what it is.
Lincoln Memorial.
Speaking of Black Lives Matter Plaza, I just made that up. How do you feel about the mayor in DC putting that big, bold, yellow Black Lives Matter in the street?
Oh man, to me, I'm always understanding the underlying play.
Okay.
So those things are to me again another distraction. This is
Can you hear me?
but this is something that's going to be like we beginning. So when I understand the symbolism behind the ground versus putting it in the air, it kind of makes me look at it like they don't they still want their foot on our neck. They still want to ride over us. So that's how I feel about it. I'm not out of looking for the opponent to beat no more than what they've already shown us. I'm not looking for change who we are. So we're not expecting anything. And that's where we go wrong at, is we expect for stand up in our hardship slavery story, but they don't, and they never will, and they never have, because they've always gave us the story to be repetitive from educational perspectives. They only gave us about the slaves that they only gave us stories about slavery. They give us Wall Street. They didn't teach us about they didn't teach us about Mansa Musa. It's certain to make sure we didn't strive for it. Because you only can strive for what you and what we've been seeing was importance of it, but I don't think that they understand the importance of that our life matter. Like for us to have to explain that on the shirt to get you to see that our life matter shows me that I'm still having I gotta get a better understanding of value that my life matter to me. Because I can't tell you my life matter if I'm not justifying what matters about my life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely can relate to that. In fact, I was having a conversation just the other day about all lives matter. And my perspective is that we never said that all lives didn't matter. What we're saying is we can't tell that Black Lives Matter because of all the injustice that's been, shown towards us. So the fact that we're saying Black Lives Matter is because, and I don't even know much about the movement itself because, like you, I'm trying not to be distracted. But my point that I was making to this person is that, of course, all lives matter. However, it's been shown time and time and time and time and time and time and time again that y'all don't believe Black Lives Matter. What do you say about that?
Black Lives Matter was something that was intention behind it. I'm not going to take away from its
Sure.
intention, but what it's become, I'm not really aware of it because I don't matter in the hood. I don't see those activists in my neighborhood. I don't see them in the streets where the poverty is. I don't see them over there marching and helping to increase our value. You feel me? I see that it's around and they are established around environments that's conducive to them. The heart of the matter is inches where poverty is. If we're not inside the belly to be able to feed it properly, make sure it's nourished, make sure it got the right nutrition, then we really don't care about the conditions, man. It's like feeding a tree from the outside when you know that it takes the root to be where it grows from.
Yeah.
So if the root not taken care of, you can understand they say the apple don't fall too far from the
From
tree.
the tree.
So we gotta be careful of what type of tree we coming from. And we've been coming growing out the concrete. We ain't even had no trees. So we got to get back to finding where our trees are. I'm establishing our own trees, our own farms, instead of somebody doing it for us. It's just accountability factor. What's going on in America is us having an accountability factor about ourselves and our community. What's going on for the elite and the white supremacists and the white people that feels superior to us, they're having an accountability factor because they have to swallow that superiority, that inferior. You know what I mean? They got to swallow and say, "Damn, we do feel like we like this. We do feel that we better. We do judge in their own heart." So if they can watch the police kill us and not feel away, it says a lot about their heart as well.
Oh, absolutely. That was
In a
yeah.
humanity as a human being.
Yeah. We're all a part of the human race. Would you agree?
I definitely agree.
Yeah, there's only one race and it's the human race. And so I definitely can appreciate what you just said because if you can sit back and, watch these things happen and not feel away, then there's definitely something that needs to happen. So I know that you have a
I
team.
don't want.
Go ahead.
Yes. We got multitudes of teams just moving around. Can you hear?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we got multitudes of teams working on the ground. And we got a couple teams in DC to be able to capture that footage, to get that energy, to bring that back so we can dissect that to see where do we gotta go, what do we have to do to change our conditions. It's not no one else changing our conditions. What do we gotta do? So sometimes you gotta send people out. You gotta send them to education. You gotta send them to get to school. You gotta send them and distribute that you're from. See, what happens is we go out and we don't never come back in to distribute it amongst the people that need it. Can you get it?
I get it. I get it. And you know
So we
what?
work.
I am, go
Yep.
ahead.
So we work.
I don't know what is happening here today, but we having all type of technical difficulties. And so I do want to apologize to our viewers because we had a couple of things we were going to bring you today. And I'm just so excited that we had Mr. Gillespie on the screen with us today to kick some knowledge. You know, I was teasing him earlier when we had technical difficulties. I said, oh, thank you so much. I'm going to take 5 so that we can see if we can connect with our media team and as well as the other event that we had scheduled here. But if you want to keep kicking knowledge, my brother, you go right ahead. It's all yours. And I work behind the scenes.
Hey, yo, this is. I mean, but this is what this platform was created for, because the unrest is real, and the reality of the fact that we don't control our own media, then we're being subscribed to it being given to us. So we can't expect for no one else to give us what we should be given to ourselves. So we create our own content and we distribute it amongst those that really care about our conditions, our economic conditions, our social conditions, our emotional conditions, our financial conditions. Those things are important in the development structure, and we can't miss those because those things be taught. Those are learned beats, and if we're not teaching these things to those that come out, expectation from them. So we just be back. Oh yes, man. Make sure if you in the Grand Rapids area tomorrow, we have save the date. We got the Peace Walk on Wealthy and Diamond starting at 10:30 in the morning. Focal point is supporting and stand behind our grieving mothers that's losing their children to this senseless violence. So it's a stop the violence call, but it's a walk where we can understand and talk with some of the mothers that's losing babies to be able to get the feeling instead of not. We're so caught up in the death that we forget about the effects. And if death affects the one that's dying, death affects the living. Because when you're
Mm,
gone, that's no longer an effect. So it's those that we leave behind that left to grieve, that left to sorrow, that left to mourn, even in financial distress, because funerals cost. So me, I've been in the funeral business my whole life. I was raised around people. You feel me? Starting with the money, even the people. Like
wow.
I was raised there, so I have a different understanding about death, and I understand the process. They're like a man. They're opposites. They're good and bad, right and wrong, left. They come together separate. But understanding our purposes while we here is going to dictate our outcome. But if these learned behaviors not taught early, then tomorrow at 10:30 in the morning we will be doing a peace walk for the violence that's been perpetuating in our communities, and we're tying it into the Breonna Taylor, the shooting about Jacob Blake, um, George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, any of our lost soldiers in the field, any of those that took one for the team, even those that were afraid to stand. We're standing on their behalf because if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. And what's been happening is we've been following a media structure that has been designed to 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 divide us, to distract us, and to destroy us. So my objective from here moving forward is to change our conditions. I'm willing to put my life on the line to help me help mine.
I totally respect that. Where's the meetup going to be for the rally tomorrow?
Okay, so we're meeting at Wealthy and Diamond Market. The march is gonna, I mean, the walk there, we will walk from Wealthy and Diamond, and we're thinking Wealthy to Fuller, Fuller to Bemis, Bemis to Joe Taylor, do talk at Joe Taylor back up Diamond, ending right back at Wealthy Market. So it's not a long walk, it's really more a solidarity walk to be able to support the mothers. Like, it's hosted by Wanda McIntosh. She lost her son
Mm.
at that particular spot that we're starting. So we're supporting her in her grieving because she feels like she took so many losses that her purpose is in her. She found her purpose in her. So it's, and we felt as an organization, Black Wall Street, Grand Rapids, and Generation Wealthy, Unity and Faith, we came together and we got allies involved. We got Commissioner Robert S. is going to be there speaking. Commissioners Sunita Lanier. We got Moms on a Mission with Elijah Libet, and Tina, so we got a lot of good advocates, that's been in the field dealing with the violence, moms losing their children. Like, these things have to be seen. The hurt got to be seen, the pain, because we don't see it because we become afraid of it. We can't beat up our children to pull their coattails and teach them about what's going on, because they are destroying the culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
And no one's addressing it properly. We putting band-aids on it, and we got to do more than that.
I agree. I totally agree. Well, I want to say thank you so much for joining me today here at Exclusive Media Exchange in the virtual
Sure.
studio. You brought a very, very enlightening perspective. You've educated me. I mean, even before the broadcast, you had me in. I was like, you know what? I ain't going, So I try to be influential to the culture as well. So and you were very straightforward. He's like, well, we got two different perspectives, and I can definitely respect that. And so I just want everybody to be encouraged on today. Just because you were not able to make it to the commitment march in DC does not mean you can't find something locally to do in your own community. And you may want to connect with people like my brother, Mr. Taj Gillespie, who is working hard within his own community to make a difference. So thank you so much, my brother. And I really, truly enjoyed our time today. And I'm hopeful that we will connect again soon on this platform.
Yes, ma'am. Have a wonderful day.
You too. It's been